Is there a constituency for Chris Christie? The folks who like Trump don't like that Christie's opposing him now, and the folks who are never Trump don't like that Christie supported him in 2016. So who is this campaign for?
Well, that will ultimately really be the question that New Hampshire voters will have to combat. Chris Christie will have a town hall style meeting, so he'll be able to engage with voters directly. They'll be able to ask him questions. It's a format that we became familiar with him doing in 2016. And in comments that we've heard from Governor Chris Christie since then, in the past couple of months, as he teased this presidential announcement, he signaled that his big strategy is to go after former President Donald Trump. He said his inability to do that in 2016 was a strategic error, and said that this time around he doesn't believe Trump is qualified to become president again because of the comments that he made after the 2020 election. And he said he's going to go directly after him, serve as that bulldog. And I want you to listen to a little bit of how he framed that in that pivot, that this once ally, this candidate who after 2016, after losing in New Hampshire, he went on to endorse him, how he went from the ally to now one of his top critics. Listen here.
So I don't hear anybody in this room saying, oh, you know, you're saying this because you're a never Trumper. I was the first one on the bus, and I worked all the way through election night 2020 for him. But I got off the train when he stood up in the West Wing of the White House behind the seal of the president and told us the election was stolen when he didn't have one fact to back it up. I'm sorry. That's when I get off.
And talking to those in and around his campaign, it's clear that they understand the reality. Those poll numbers that you put up, the dominance of former President Trump in this 2024 primary race, they believe that in order to beat Trump, you need to, or in order to get to the nomination, you need to beat Trump. And that is what they're relying on. So they believe they'll build up that constituency. They believe that with more time on the campaign trail, that will turn those numbers around. But you see from those numbers, there is a lot of work that Governor Chris Christie is going to have to do, and that work looks like it's going to begin this evening.
Yeah, so of course, Shaq, the real question is whether this is a campaign for Chris Christie to become president or just to stop Donald Trump from becoming president. But you're in New Hampshire. The governor there, Chris Sununu, just announced that he's not going to be running. He also wants to stop Trump, but he took another tact. He's choosing, as we said, to stay on the sidelines here. How are the voters there in New Hampshire, those sort of not interested in Trump, reacting to that decision?
Well, that remains to be seen. And, you know, we'll talk to some folks as they're heading into this event here. It's one interesting thing about this is while this is a Chris Christie presidential launch, it's at an event, a venue where you've seen a flood of candidates come in the lead up to this election. Former President Trump, that town hall that he did on another network was right here at this college. So that is one of the questions that we will bring to them. But I think that point that you make, the fact that Governor Sununu decided to pull out, decided not to go and enter into this race, those are two very different strategies. The difference with Chris Christie is that he believes that he can take on that fight. One thing that you heard him mention his last time on this campus when he was teasing his presidential run is that he believes he can do to President Trump what he did to Marco Rubio in deflating the candidacy really before momentum started to build up. And we'll see if that is a successful strategy this time around.
Well,
Peter.
we see the cameras rolling in behind you, so at least for the night, Chris Christie will certainly get some media attention. Shaq, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.